I guess initially I got invited by Quinn, and Caleb and Quinn were already going to team, and I was excited. I just wanted to team with Quinn, so.
Caleb and I has really teamed like for every event.
Yeah,
that we've
so I'm
gone to.
pretty. Yeah, like we're pretty much locked in. So it's just like who's gonna be our third.
Right. Okay. Um, so, what decks are you all playing today?
I'm playing Bogles.
Bogles?
I'm playing Jund Death Shadow.
And I'm playing Gift Storm.
You have a splash of white, right?
Yeah, in my sideboard I'm playing 3 Lingering Souls, and I'm playing 1 white card main deck in Ranger Bios,
Okay.
which I'm using to grind out matchups like the Jund Death Shadow Mirror.
So, how did you guys decide on the decks you're going to play?
Well, I've really played Bogles for like, I don't know, like 2 years maybe, and I like the deck. It's good, and yeah.
I'm playing Jund Death Shadow because I think it's the strongest deck in the format in terms of like power level, and I think it's probably a mistake to not be playing it in one of your 3 decks just because like its power level is just way higher in the other decks format. And I want to utilize cards like Thoughtseize and Inquisition, and it pairs really well with Tarmogoyf, as you see in like normal Jund, but adding Death Shadow and cards that enable Delirium makes it so your deck has a pretty consistent game plan across most games.
Yeah, pretty much my deck choice. I mean, of course, people notice that I love playing Storm, but it was kind of based on we wanted to also have the Death Shadow deck, so whichever one like kind of like felt like the strongest in the field, like that Nathan really wanted to do. So I was kind of like, well, I have Storm set aside in case like what we ended up going with Jund, or maybe an Affinity plan or so forth if we ended up on like a Grixis Delver, or not Delver, but Grixis Shadow plan. So. Basically, since I got to play with Scalding Tarns, so wanted to play something that was punishing, at least some sort of combo deck, since like kind of all Quinn and I's decks both just want to kind of tax like hey, do you have the 4 or 6 sideboard slots for us, which is then like, hey, are you in the 1 and 3, kind of like trying to play the odds a little bit while having like a very strong center in Nathan's deck.
And you think all of the decks that you're playing are good in this metagame?
I do.
Yeah, so far.
I think in individual metagames, Bogles isn't necessarily a great choice, in my opinion. It's okay, but I think in team events it's a little bit better because there are certain matchups you just don't want to face, and that's less likely. Same for Storm, I guess.
Exactly, yeah.
Like the chances of playing against a matchup that's just really good against you is way lower because 1 in 3 chance, even if your opponents are playing it.
That's not my issue.
Yeah,
Bogles
precisely.
is still amazing.
Yeah.
Always.
And decks that have certain sideboard cards that
Hose.
kind of hose a certain deck. You want to play a deck that necessarily has those but doesn't have too many options to do it. Like Affinity has a lot of things to kind of be countered by that can be spread amongst the different sideboards. So what do you guys think Affinity in this metagame? Do you think that was a good call or a bad one?
I think that Affinity's all right. Like, the one big problem, and from what I've seen, like, kind of Shatterstorm is on the downswing, especially with Jund in and of itself not existing, really, because of Death Shadow. So you're pretty much like, which opponent is going to have the 4 Stony Silences, but there is the also, whatever red deck is going to have 4 Ancient Grudges instead. So it's kind of, again, there you're almost like hoping to dodge. You're almost hoping to play against 1 in 3 versus dodging 1 in 3. Okay. So that's kind of like why we went against it, and I think like a few other people on a few of the other card holder teams also kind of came to that conclusion. Like Affinity seems great, but there are enough cards that just say nuke any graveyard strategy, artifact strategy, like just right off the board.
I just don't think the deck's power level is that high in metagames where like almost any 3 decks in Team Unified, 2 out of 3 are going to have the sideboard hate. Like Caleb said, like you want to play against 1 out of 3. Those odds are just not great. And in general, like you're just really hoping to win game 1, and you're just like mostly severely disadvantaged if you don't win game 1 because of how much worse Affinity gets after board. So I would not consider it a great choice.
How has been playing together? How has that been today?
I've had a blast
Yeah.
so far. Like, we all get along pretty well. So, just like, kind of like the best part of like any team. It's like, hey, as long as like your personalities don't like just straight clash to where you're sitting down and you can't really communicate, and just like actual just mutual respect of like like hey, like what do you think of this play or hand, or like kind of going through sequences. Like we've all gone back and forth asking each other, so like that part as well. It's not just one person trying to tell one other person stuff. So that's kind of part has been great.
Yep, I think it's been pretty good. I mean, we've communicated pretty well. I felt like if we wanted to clarify, even something as simple as like verifying a play, we'll all talk through it if we need help.
I think we've worked well together as well. Same thing as you guys said,
Yeah.
but
Is there anything you want to say about your deck choices, or I mean, you're currently 5-1.
Yep.
yeah.
Yep.
So congratulations, that's fantastic. You can keep it up, and I believe in you guys. But is there anything else you want to say or share with the world?
I wish there were more of these. Like these Team Unified's kind of cool. Of course, there are some other team formats that a lot of people like better, but I think that this is one that it makes Modern a lot better. For me personally, I'm not the biggest Modern fan to have to play it, so to actually enjoy it, since it's not even like, oh, my game's like kind of like the big problem being like, oh, we just played like 8 turns of Magic, it's over, nothing really happened, but like that'll be like one of the matches out of the 3, and then it's like, hey, we have some interesting games, so you're actually playing the interesting Modern games every round, and so it actually kind of makes the format great, in my opinion.
Yeah. I don't really have much to add except for, I mean, playing this deck is pretty fun for me just because I feel like I'm grinding through most of my matches. None of my games have felt like I've necessarily destroyed my opponents, so it feels kind of neck and neck, especially because you're doing 15-18 to your damage to yourself per game with like street wraiths and fetches, so you have to be really good about managing your life total, or else you might put yourself in a situation where you just die to their bolt or galvanic blast. Like, I had to set myself up to be at exactly 5 with a Death Shadow in play to not die.
There's
And those
one-
sequences are hard.
There's one thing more I want to say, which is Buggles!
What?
It's best.